Yo everyone, welcome to Amps, Pedals and Pickups. My name's Nathan, and today we're going to be checking out the brand new Bogren Digital PV BDH lineup of Ampknob plugins. Now the three we're going to be taking a look at today are based on the original 5150 block letter, the 6505 Plus model, as well as the EVH 5153. Now the whole philosophy behind these Ampknob plugins is just a one knob style plugin. They're very lightweight. You should just be able to put it down on top of a guitar DI track and pull a really good sound in like 2 seconds. There's no overly complex menus that you can dive into. There's no post-processing EQs that you should be needing to do. Bogren Digital should have taken all that heavy lifting, packaged it all into a nice plugin. You just turn it on, play guitar, and that should be a fantastic sound. Alright, let's check out the Ampknob BDH in a full mix. Alright, so there you have I just played you that mix. Now, something to note, there's no post-processing EQ on those guitars, so for better or worse, depending how you like the sound that I've pulled, I specifically didn't want to run any post-processing EQ. There's some processing on the overall guitar tracks to like bring things into line. Now look, surprisingly, even though these are one knob style plugins, there actually is a bunch of features that are super handy, and we're going to explore through those. But before we do that, let's just run through each of them, check out the sounds, and see what they do straight out of the box. We're going to do some proper tests where we A-B them side by side, but man, I can tell you straight away, just playing these, the feel, the responsiveness, I don't know what they've done, like the latency is insanely good. You know, to get this sort of sound, you got to like get a good amp, get a good IR, you got to put a pedal in front of it, you're probably going to do some EQing, and there's some trickery here which we're going to go through as well to make it really good. They've basically done everything they can here to make sure that you and me get a great sounding sound out of this plugin. Let's do some actual like for like. So I'm going to record a DI, I'll put it across all 3 tracks, and then we can sort of do some A-B and listen to them back to back. Alright, I've just recorded some riffs there on, I should have just said this is the Gibson SG 61 reissue in drop C, sharp, standard equipment, nothing's been changed, standard pickups and everything. So just recorded here, it's the same DI, I've just duplicated it across the tracks. We'll just go down, I'll put a label on screen so it's a little bit clearer, but we should be cycling 1, 2 and 3. You can see the tracks labeled there. 51, essentially the 5150 block letter first, the 6505 Plus second, and then the EVH 5153 last. So just from hearing that, the original block letter and the 5153 have similar characteristics. I don't want to say the same, they're obviously very unique, but to me they're sort of a little bit brighter. The 6505 Plus is noticeably darker. Let's go off to the second riff, let's take a listen to this, all 3. Alright, so we've just heard all three of the Ampknob plugins with their default values. Let's just walk through the EVH 5153, all the different parameters you've got. So start from the left, basic on off. Just look at that little fade out, just like a real amp. Nice little touches they got there. So the pedal, that's like a default OD boost pedal. We'll turn it off and see what it sounds like. It should lose that bite. The bit of the bottom end should come back, probably lose a little bit of volume. So I'll play it again, then I'll turn it off and play it like that. It's a good little option there. I would always boost these kinds of amps with something. So to build that in, very, very nice touch. Now the obvious one here is the gain knob. Let's sweep the gain and see what it sounds like. Now to all you astute listeners out there, you would notice that even pushing that gain to 100%, it's not making the amp fart, it's not making the amp do anything weird. If you took that amp and you crank the gain all the way up, totally not listenable. You really have to like feather in the settings. So this looks like a gain knob, but really it's doing like 100% processing down to 0% processing. And obviously whatever this point is, like the 75-80% mark, is sort of the sweet spot. And once again, you shouldn't have to think about this stuff. You just load the plugin on, start playing. You want a little bit more of something, boom, crack it up. It's a little bit too bitey, you want a little bit more bottom end, that's fine. You can turn the pedal off. These are all the settings you need. Everything sounds great. You know, you want a little bit more gain, let's just up it. And if you wanted to play something a little bit softer, let's just pull that down. Alright, so down the bottom here, you've got your input and output gain. Have a listen to this and have a listen to how forgiving the input gain is. Now obviously things get a little bit more lifeless at the bottom and they get a little bit more hectic at the top end, but if you've used like heaps of different amp sims before, you would know some of them are so sensitive to that input gain that if you can miss that sweet spot very, very easily. I find this has a very big range, and I think they've done this on purpose so that, you know, if you don't think have things dialed in 101% accurate, you know, you'll still get a very, very good sounding plugin. Output gain, very, very similar. I mean, really, the output gain is just how hot it's recording the track to the DAW, so not too much wizardry going on there, but very, very handy to have the in and out right there. Next up is to have a tuner. It's a very responsive tuner. I know it's a weird thing to say, but sometimes tuners, you use them and you're like, this is just oddly not handy, I'll just reach for a better tuner. This one, it's pretty good, does its job. Now you've got the cab section here. You can come in here and either turn the cab off. Doesn't that sound amazing? You know, you can run your favorite IRs. We could just go down a rabbit hole and look at different IR choices, but the good thing is you have the ability to do this. The matched cab though sounds fantastic on all three of these. Now when we look into the different settings, we'll go into the preferences. I love this, the input mode being on stereo. I'm going to do a mix walkthrough that I'm going to post to the channel, and I'll show you why that's handy. But basically I always record left and right channels. So instead of having, if I have like 6 guitar tracks going on, I'll bust them to a sort of subgroup. So instead of having 6 instances of the plugin, I'll only have 3 running. But not only is it the overhead, it's just that if I'm tweaking the left guitar, I always have to go into the right guitar, match the plugin, so I don't have to do any of that dilly-dallying. I can just have like the one on there and change the stereo pair. Super, super handy. Every guitar sim plugin should have this. DSP quality on high, just, you know, every plugin give me the highest quality possible. That's what I always want. Next is the gate. I've played around with the gate. The default setting sounds great. Bogren have really dialed this thing in. So you can switch it off completely and have that lovely hum going on there. We'll dial the gate down. You get those little feedbacky noises going on there, little harmonics. You can make it super choky. You know, just like a real noise gate, it's going to eat into your tone a little bit when you do that. But you know, if you're playing math metal or something that really requires that sort of like staccato sort of sound, you can up the noise gate there. But I find the midpoint is super organic. It's tight enough. Plenty tight for that gate. I'm just going to leave it at default. And that's pretty much it. So even though it's one knob, it's got the pedal, it's got the cab, it's got the tuner, it's got the stereo input, which is super handy. It's got the gate. So there's actually all the features you need. And I definitely think they've got that intelligent input gain matching on there. So simple stuff, but very well thought out. Now, I'm definitely no pro mixer by any terms, but I have been upping my mix game. I'm going to do a dedicated video showing you the full mix for this because I thought it was quite nifty. I pulled it from scratch. I can tell you now, I'm using GGD OKW metal for the drums. I've got a real bass, that one that I picked up through Tone X. I'm using the Bogren amp sims here for the guitars, and then I'm using Control Hub for the overall processing. Very light stuff. There's no like magic going on there. So if you want to see that, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be dropping that video very soon. We'll do a full mix walkthrough. I'll leave you the Reaper template. And yeah, you can maybe it'll help you out on the mixing side of things. So there we have it. That's my little walkthrough of the Bogren BDH lineup. I can say now it's really hard to sort of compare sim for sims because the times just keep changing. You might be watching this video in a year's time. There might be something different going on, but you know, right here, right now, these have to be up there with some of the best sims in the game. One thing I didn't really touch on is I didn't really want to focus or care really about their faithfulness to the original amp. Like, I'm not going to sit here and compare the BDH3 to my EVH 5153 there. If you go onto the website, Jens talks about that I think they're all based off his specific models that have mods, so your 5153 is not going to sound like his. But yeah, look, they are one knob plugins. They do as advertised. They even surpass what I thought they could do. These ones, to me, sound better than the Messel ones when I tried them out, and that's a really big call because, you know, how many 5150 sims are there out there? There's 10,000 5150 sims. I've counted them all, literally 9999. This is the 10,000th 5150 sim. But you know what? Has to be the best, like without a doubt, best 5150 sim. I would highly recommend this. I'm not getting paid to say this stuff. I've got a trial demo here. I haven't even bought the stuff yet, but if I use this a lot, you know, it's really hard for me to buy things because I got the real thing there. I've got a fractal unit, I've got Tone X, I've got all this stuff, but even with everything at my arsenal, I play this and go, you know what? This is the plugin that I want to reach for. When I want to get that sound in like 2 seconds, I don't want to turn things on. I don't want to have the amp warm up. I don't want to accidentally leave the amp on for like 3 hours, which I've definitely done before. If I just want to get that sound in 2 seconds, or if I want to reamp things, you know, this is a solid choice. I'm really impressed with these plugins. So there we have it. If you have any questions about the Bogren BDH lineup, make sure you drop them in the comments below. As always, smash that like and subscribe button. If you want to talk about mixing, practicing guitar, anything to do with anything going on in this channel, join our Discord server below. I'll leave the link below in the description. As always, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.